So is that on or not?
It's on. You mean the camera or the AC?
No, that. Oh, is the AC on?
Yeah.
It's on.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Nuruttamam Deving Saraswati Vyasam Sojayam Udiriye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Divine. To Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being. To Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. To Srila Vyasdev, the author. And to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivasesha Sundivari Paskitade Satana Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, what verse is on the board? Is it 41 or 42?
41 to 42.
What?
I think it's 42 because that's underlined.
Okay, but so is it Tam Narada Priyata?
No, it's
Okay.
Mariam.
Alright, so I'll read the Sanskrit to 41 and then we'll do the 42 because there's no purport to 41. tam narada priyatamo riktatanam anuvrata shusru sammanam silina prashrayena tamena cha. The translation is, Narada, the most dear of the inheritor sons of Brahma, always ready to serve his father, strictly follows the instructions of his father by his mannerly behavior, meekness, and sense control. Let's see something. Yeah. Okay. So then 42 is Mayam Vividishan Vishnor Mayam Vividishan Vishnor Mayeshasha Maha Muni Mahasasya Mahamuni Maha Bhagavato Rajan Maha Bhagavato Rajan Pitaram Paryatoshayat. See, is it? No, it's Paryatoshayat. Okay. Mayam Vividishan Vishnor. What? Oh. Mayeshasya Mahamuni. Mahabhagavato Rajan. Pitaram Paryatoshayat. Okay, so Mayam Vividisham Vishnor. Mayeshasya Mahamuni. Mahabhagavato Rajan. Pitaram Paryatoshayat. Is that 3 times? Or? 2. Okay. Mayam Vividisham Vishnor. Mayeshasya Mahamuni. Mahabhagavato Rajan. Pitaram Paryatoshayat. Someone else?
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu. Mayeshasya Mahamuni. Mahabhagavato Rajan. Pitaram Paryatoshayat.
Rajan.
Itaram Pariyatoshaya.
Itaram Pariyatoshaya.
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu.
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu.
Maye Tasya Mahamuni.
Maheshasya Mahamuni.
Mahabhagavato Rajan.
Mahabhagavato Rajan.
Itaram Pariyatoshaya.
Itaram Pariyatoshaya.
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu.
Mayam Vividishan Vishnu.
Maheshasya Mahamuni.
Maheshasya Mahamuni.
Mahabhagavato Raja.
Mahabhagavato Rajan.
Itaram Pariyatoshaya.
Itaram Pariyatoshaya.
So the word for word is Mayam.
Mayam
Energies.
Energies.
Vividisham.
Vividisham.
Desiring to know.
Desiring to know.
Vishnu.
Vishnu.
Of the personality Godhead.
Of the personality of Godhead.
Maya Ishas.
Maya Ishra.
Of the master of all energies.
Of the master of all energies.
Mahamuni.
Mahamuni.
Great sage.
Great sage.
Mahabhagavata.
Mahabhagavata.
The first class devotee of the Lord.
The first class devotee of the Lord.
Rajan.
Rajan.
O king.
O king.
Pitaram.
Itaram.
Unto his father.
Unto his father.
Pariyatoshaya.
Pariyatoshaya.
Very much pleased.
Very much pleased.
So the translation is Narada very much pleased his father and desired to know all about the energies of Vishnu, the master of all energies. For Narada was the greatest of all sages and greatest of all devotees, O king. So please repeat. Narada was very much pleased by his father
Narada was very much pleased by his father.
and desired to know all
And desired to know all
about the energies of Vishnu,
about the energies of Vishnu,
the master of all energies.
the master of all energies.
For Narada
For Narada
was the greatest of all sages
was the greatest of all sages
and the greatest of all devotees,
and the greatest of all
O king.
Okay.
Not only was he, but he still is. Past, present, and future. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma, being the creator of all living beings in the universe, is originally the father of several well-known sons like Daksha, the Chatusanas, the four Kumars, and Narada. In three departments of human knowledge disseminated by the Vedas, namely fruit of work, Karma Kanda, transcendental knowledge, Jnana Kanda, and devotional service, Upasana Kanda. Devarshi Narada inherited from his father Brahma, devotional service, whereas Daksha inherited his father's fruit of work, and Sanaka, Sanatan, etc., inherited from their father information about Jnana Kanda, or transcendental knowledge. But out of them all, Narada is described here as the most beloved son of Brahma because of good behavior, obedience, meekness, and readiness to render service unto the Father. And Narada is famous as the greatest of all sages because of his being the greatest of all devotees. Narada is the spiritual master of many famous devotees of the Lord. He is the spiritual master of Prahlad, Dhruva, and Vyas, down to the forest animal hunter, Kirata. His only business is to turn everyone to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, all these features of Narada make him the dearmost son of his father. And all this is due to Narada's being a first-class devotee of the Lord. The devotees are always anxious to know more and more about the Supreme Lord, the master of all energies, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 10.9. Machchita makkata prana bodhayanta parasparam Katayantas chamam nitjam dushanti cha ramanti cha. He doesn't have the translation, but it's something like the minds of my pure devotees are always dwelling in me. Their lives are dedicated to serving me, and they derive great satisfaction and enlightening and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about my pastimes. The Supreme Lord is unlimited, and His energies are also unlimited. No one can know them completely. Brahmaji, being the greatest living entity within the universe and being directly instructed by the Lord, must know more than anyone else within this universe, although such knowledge may not be complete. Thus it is the duty of everyone to ask about the unlimited Lord from the spiritual master in the disciplic succession of Brahma, which descends from Narada to Vyasa, from Vyasa to Sukadev, and so on. So the verse again, 2 verses is, Narada, the most dear of the inherited sons of Brahma, always ready to serve his father, strictly follows the instructions of his father by his mannerly behavior, meekness, and self-control. Narada very much pleased his father and desired to know all about the energies of Vishnu, the master of all energies, for Narada was the greatest of all sages and the greatest of all devotees, O king. Om Gyan Timaranda Shaganandana Salakaya Chakshu Umbilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurube Namaha. So Narada Muni is, the more I was reading about him, there's so much about his pastimes and glories. I'm surprised there isn't a book about him. I mean, he's everywhere. He's like the sunshine, he's like the air. He penetrates everything. Like he's involved in so many wonderful, incredible pastimes. This book that we're reading is due to his instructions to Vyasadeva. But before I say that, explain that I also read in the first canto, it explained that in the millennium of the rishis, he appeared, and he is an empowered incarnation of the Lord. He's the manifestation of the devotee of Lord Krishna, and he compiled from all the Vedas. He compiled the information about non-fruitive work. You know what non-fruitive work is, right? Bhakti Yoga. And so he compiled all of that and wrote a book called Narada Pancharatna and confirmed. And it's described, there's one example that Prabhupada gives, that this principle of non-fruitive work, as delineated by Narada Muni, is like curing indigestion with curd. This disease of indigestion was caused by another milk product, so you use curd to cure that disease. So in other words, like right now we're talking about building, construction. The karmis build houses. The fruit of workers, I'll say, the fruit of workers build guest houses. The fruit of workers build many things, but the difference between them and us is that we're doing this for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His devotees. And these places will be used in the service of the Lord, whereas the places they built are for sense gratification. So it appears to be the same activity, but it's actually the process of purification. So, to get back to this Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedavyas, his disciple, at one point before, about 5,000 years ago, he saw certain anomalies in the universal, features in the world, in the world and within the cosmos, that indicated that Kali Yuga was fast approaching, and he was very concerned about purifying the living beings who are submerged within this material existence. So he divided the Vedas, he compiled the Mahabharata, and tried to make things more accessible for those people within the age of Kali. And after completing this really enormous literary endeavor, and to his credit, everyone glorifies it to this day. I mean, everybody knows the stories of the Mahabharata. I've been told that in India, when there's a good performance of Mahabharata being portrayed on the television, there are times when it comes on that Sunday or whenever it is, everything stops. Traffic stops, everything. People will gather around the store windows where the TV is, and everything's turned on to that particular next series, even though they already know all the stories. But after he finished compiling the Mahabharata, he felt something was missing. He felt, like that feeling when you're just like, you've done everything, but what am I forgetting? What didn't I do? Oh, I forgot. I forgot to forget. I forgot to, express my appreciation or something like that. You just have that sense that something's not right. I'm incomplete. Something's missing in my life. And just as he was thinking like that, all of a sudden, his spiritual master, Narada Muni, appears at his cottage. And first thing he does is he glorifies Vyasadeva for his writings. He says, what you have written about Brahman, the transcendental energies, the transcendental knowledge, and the Mahabharata, you've done a first-class job. He glorifies it. And then he can see that Vyasa is morose. And Vyasa expresses his heart that I don't know what it is, but I just don't feel like I've done enough. And at that point, Narada Muni says, because what you have written, these words are like I don't know verbatim, but these words are like the pilgrimage place for the crows. He just finished telling me that this was a great work, but he said, this is a place, what you have written is a place of pilgrimage for the crows. And then this verse that Srila Prabhupada put in his introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is what Narada Muni said next. He said, on the other hand, that literature, which is full with descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a transcendental creation meant to bring about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though irregularly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Om Tat Sat, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So, and I find that this particular verse is very significant. Prabhupada putting it here, that we now know that Narada Muni is the reason we have the Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva compiled it, but Narada Muni inspired his disciple, Srila Vyasadeva, to compile the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the book that Srila Prabhupada brought to the West to create this revolution, the spiritual revolution in this misdirected civilization. And we can see right now, what's happening now, as I was mentioning in the last couple of classes, how things are spinning out of control. And what is needed is distribution and actively studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, being able to glorify these pastimes and distribute this knowledge, because this is the knowledge that will bring about real solutions to the problems, that the economic problems, the interracial problems, the health and welfare of the people. People feel like they have no medical health. They have their environment is being completely contaminated and destroyed because there's an exploitative mentality towards the use of Krishna's energies. Ishar vasham midam sarvam yakin jagat tena chakena bunjitaha magitaha kisasvedana. This is Krishna's energy, and we're all given quotas, and we should treat it as Krishna's energy and use it in his service and properly distribute it so that all the animals, all living beings, whatever their backgrounds, whatever their caste, or, their class, whatever, racial situation, whatever their, wherever they come from, they all should be treated and properly and fairly and according to their position, according to their input. They should be taken care of, and everyone is protected, because everyone is a part and parcel of Krishna. And like I was saying before, I'm going to talk a little more about Narada Muni, but I was thinking that this is relevant right now, that we had this campaign back in the 70s where Bhagavatam Prabhu ran for mayor. And I remembered this one particular thing that we accomplished that really is significant right now in terms of the what's happening, the Black Lives Matter. It's a pretty amazing pastime that this happened. It was by Prabhupada's mercy, and all the devotees really trying to communicate, this message to the leaders of society and to all the people, to benefit all of the people. And so, at that time, the Lieutenant Governor of Georgia was named Lester Maddox, and he was a really interesting character. He had been the governor of Georgia, and he was a staunch segregationist. He was sometimes referred to as Pickaxe Lester or Maddox, because he used to have a shop before he became governor, and if any non-whites would try to come into his shop, he would take the bat, the axe has a pole like a bat. He would use it like a bat, and he was real proud of this. And he hit them out. And he would sell them as souvenirs and autograph them down in underground Atlanta. Very proud. So what happened is that Bhagavatam was at a TV interview at WSB. It's right down on Ponce de Leon. No, it's on Briarcliff Road. I don't know if it's still called WSB or Fox News or something. So after the interview was over, and this was the thing, because we were running for mayor, they were all interested, and you could get all kinds of TV engagements, and everybody was interested in whatever you did. And so, and you'd be invited to all the big forums and debates. So, legally by law, they had to. So, as we finished up, I noticed there was a telephone in the lobby, and I asked the secretary, can I make a local call? I want to call the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And she said, sure, go ahead, just push that button right there. So, because we were on our way, we had an appointment to meet Lester Maddox down at the state capitol, the lieutenant governor. And so I called up Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I said, hey, I'm down here at WSB, and that Hare Krishna candidate, William Ogle? I just heard he's on his way to go see Lieutenant Governor Maddox. Yeah, Pickaxe, yeah. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, he's on his way. Yeah, okay, you're welcome. Hang up. We go down there, he meets with Lester Maddox, and then when they walk out together, and whatever Bhagavatam said to him, Lester Maddox was like completely, won over. And he told the press that this man, William Ogle, is the only God-conscious candidate in this mayoral race. And I think this is the best candidate for this city.
Wow.
So, fast forward. Now, in Atlanta, that was the base of Martin Luther King's Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s headquarters. As a matter of fact, his whole foundation's there. I can't remember the name of it. It was something like the Southern Christian something. He had, instead of like NAACP, he had his own organization. And the person that ran the local area was a gentleman by the name of Jose Williams. He was a real character. I mean, he was a street fighter. I mean, and we went in to talk to him, and when we walked in, behind his desk is a big, huge portrait of Martin Luther King sitting in a very nice, comfortable seat like the one, you know, when Bhakti Churuswami was here. He was sitting in that big chair. I think Jayaprakash Maharaj used it also. And so Martin Luther King sitting in that chair, and above him is a painting of Gandhi. And there was what looked like a Bhagavad Gita. Gandhi's had a version of the Bhagavad Gita on his lap. And he said, "Oh yes, I'm quite familiar. You know, Dr. King modeled our movement after Mahatma Gandhi's program. He went and stayed in his ashram. I know about your ashrams." And he was very interested in learning about vegetarianism. He said, our people, our health is not good. What we're eating, what they're feeding us is not good for us. We have high blood pressure. We have heart problems. We need to learn and get better quality food for our people. And so he was very curious, and we had a really nice discussion with him. Talked about the Bhagavad Gita and so on. And now everybody, there was 10 other candidates, and some of these were big name people. And the one that became mayor, Maynard Jackson, who absolutely loved prasad. As a matter of fact, at one particular little TV thing that we did, they asked Maynard Jackson, "What do you think is the best thing about this campaign so far?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm not too crazy about all these interviews, but I think the best thing is that Krishna Prasad they keep bringing. As a matter of fact, I can't wait for this thing to be over so I can go out there and get some more." He would eat the whole tray. He was a big man, and he really loved it. And the people that wouldn't touch it, they didn't do well later in life. But he became the mayor actually, for a couple of terms, very successful. And so all the other candidates were trying to get Hosea Williams' endorsement. And Hosea Williams called a press conference, and he endorsed William H. Ogle for mayor because he's the only God-conscious candidate. He's the only one we can trust. So here we have, now we have the biggest white supremacists and the biggest, civil rights worker for equality, both endorsing. And so we had a great flyer put up that we can bring everyone together, because this is not based on, I can't remember exactly how we put it, but it's based on the fact that we're all parts and parcels of God. There's no brotherhood without recognizing that we all have the same Father. Something like that. And then you had a picture of Maddox and Hosea Williams. I don't know what they all felt about it, but nobody ever complained. And we put that out. So this Srimad Bhagavatam was the inspiration. And there were many times that Bhagavatam would get up and take the speech that Prithu Maharaj gave after being coronated king. He took the speech and reworked it and would give that speech at some of the engagements. It was really an empowered time. And so the Bhagavatam is what inspired us. And of course that also the title of the book, Try to Shoot the Rhinoceros. We just kept saying, should we do this? We're going to try to shoot the rhinoceros. If we don't do it, so what? We couldn't do it. Nobody can shoot a rhinoceros. But let's try. That was the mood. And so I heard Yogendra Prabhu talking in his last class about the importance of getting the Bhagavatams out, especially in this month of July, any time. But, so, like Mother Donna Kelly was saying yesterday in her class, that there's 4 ways to preach, and one is to use your intelligence. I mean, to try to strain our intelligence. How can we distribute? How can we get Bhagavatams out? Or by money, or what was the third thing? It's intelligence, money.
Work.
No, words is last.
Work.
Work. Yeah, I think it's work. Intelligence, money. Yeah, work. But if you can't do any of those other things, at least you can say something nice. Do something, words, or give some class or something. So, no, I know what it is. No, this is the order. Life's example. You set the right example. That's the first thing. You actually live the Bhagavatam. You live the example of a transcendentalist and a follower of this movement. Then help with your intelligence. Then help with your money. Then with your words. And I found these qualities of a pure devotee, and I had written them down some time, and they're really quite daunting. But these are the goal. And this is what Narada Muni, we just read that he was meek, that he was kind, he was obedient. So these are the 26 qualities of the pure devotee. Kind to everyone, does not quarrel with anyone, fixed in the absolute truth, equal to everyone, faultless, charitable, mild, clean, simple, benevolent, peaceful, completely attached to Krishna, has no material hankering, meek, steady, self-controlled, does not eat more than required, sane, respectful, humble, grave, compassionate, friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. And silent means only speak about Krishna or devotional service to Krishna. So now Narada Muni, he has Vyasadeva as a disciple, and it's mentioned here also Prahlad Maharaj is his disciple, and we know the story about Prahlad Maharaj and how he became his disciple. He preached to him while he was in the womb. Then Dhruva Maharaj is his disciple, who was from a princely order. Then it says that he had, the story of Magrari the hunter, who he comes upon, he's in the forest, and he sees these animals being half killed and they're being tortured in this way. And he wants to find out who's responsible for this. And he finds Magrari and he says, why are you doing this? He said, what do you mean? This is what my father taught me. And my grandfather did it before him. This is what we do. He said, don't you understand the way, how much these animals are suffering? No, what? They're just animals. What? No, you torture them like this. These bloody deeds, these murderous deeds will come upon your soul. You will take your next birth with guilt, and you will be tortured like you're torturing now. So he completely convinces Magrari to give up this lifestyle. But how am I going to feed my family? So don't you worry about that. I'll make the arrangements. And trains him up to be a Vaishnava, to chant, live simply down by this river, and then passes the word around the village that Magrari, the hunter, has been converted. He's given it up. And everybody's coming and making offerings to him, bringing him rice, bringing him whatever he needs to eat. Then there's also the story, apparently Narada Muni converted a serpent, a snake. And when he came to, I don't know the story about how that happened, but when he came to see him, he saw that he was kind of morose, And he said, what's the problem? He said, well, you told me not to, to bite anyone anymore, and now everybody takes advantage of me, and they laugh at me, and they throw things at me. He said, yes, I said, don't bite anyone, but I didn't say don't show your fangs. In other words, if someone comes at you, you just, show your fangs, stand up. You can do that. And so that kind of resolves that issue. So here's this, the greatest of all devotees. And in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, he's Srivas Thakur. At his house, they had kirtan for 1 year before the Nam Hata began. That's Srivasangam. That's the most auspicious place in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. This is all from Narada Muni. In other words, this great personality, this great devotee, this great guru, this great spiritual master who has kings as disciples. Dhruva is in charge of the pole star. That's his disciple. Prahlad, he's, this great, wonderful devotee, and Bali Maharaj is his grandson. And Bali Maharaj will be the next Indra, after this Indra. These are all his disciples. And yet he'd go to the lowest of all living entities. It's not, only the best, most intelligent people will I accept. No, he's distributing this mercy to everyone. And by his mercy, we've received this mercy. We've received this knowledge. That's Narada Muni. There's a really nice song that we used to sing back in the 70s. I think some of you may know it. Narada Muni Bhajaya Vina Ramita Radhika Ramana Namene. You know the song? You want to sing?
I don't know it, no, I know of it.
Narada Muni Bhaja Vina. Narada Muni Bhaja Vina. Radhika Ramana Namene. Simple. Narada Muni Bhajaya Vina. Radhika Ramana Namine. Narada Muni Bhajaya Vina. Radhika Ramana Namine. Narada Muni ki jai. Anyone have someone, pastimes or something about Narada Muni they'd like to share?
He's everywhere.
What comes to my mind with Passion of the Gaura, you can tell me if it was a different one. I think it was this one that he introduced.
He bought Parvat Muni, the second part. Yeah, I left that out.
He was coming, trying to get to a spiritual master, but he didn't want to step on the ants.
Yeah, he was sweeping the ants aside. And he had been this vicious
Such a
hunter.
horrible person.
Yeah. Yes.
I have a question. He's Brahma's son. You said a few of them. Does he have any more sons than that? Because
No, well, for Kumars, and he's mentioned in the purport, Daksha is his son.
that's only the sons? Because I think Chandradev is also Brahma's son.
Well,
There's more.
there's many more.
There must be
But
more.
all the Prajapatis are his son. Yeah,
So it's not those three.
not just,
Yeah.
no.
You didn't say.
These are the three principal ones they mentioned here.
For Kumars are 4, not 3.
Yeah, that's 4, yeah, right there. Yeah. And even though they were given transcendental knowledge, Jnanakonda, they ended up becoming bhakti.
Shiva, or what, Rudra came out of Brahma's mind is also his son, no?
Yes. He became, he got angry and he came out. He was the son.
After Kumars, he decided to be separate.
Yeah, he was getting angry because I think Narada Muni was influencing people to be celibate.
No, I think because for Kumars didn't want to propagate. But
Yeah, for Kumars, right.
Yeah.
And so he got very angry, and then Shiva came. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, Narada Muni, for coming to visit Vyasadeva and inspiring him to do the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hari Bol.
What is the translation of that song you were singing?
Well, I mean, I've never seen, but I remember what it means. He's playing on his veena. He's worshiping with his veena, chanting the names of Radhika Ramana.
It's in the songbook too.
Yeah.
Is it?
I just.
One of the songbooks, yes.
Yeah, we used to sing it all the time. Vishnu Jan Maharaj. Narada Muni was a much more important personality in those days. And manually do the Vishnu Jan Swami. Good turn.
Jai Shri
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.